Hey everybody, Tiffany here on Bewitching.Bemused. If you're a little bit behind on the rune series, the link to the full playlist is down below, but for today we are covering the 23rd rune. Quick note before we begin, if you've been enjoying the rune series, make sure to hit the thumbs up, and if you haven't already, you may as well subscribe at this point, right? Okay, today we are talking about Dagaz, which means day. In the Anglo-Saxon rune poem, the use of Dagaz mostly highlights specifically daylight. It highlights how said daylight brings mirth and happiness, and it's useful to everyone, whether they are rich or poor. And in Old English poetry, daytime, which brings light, youth, warmth, is often contrasted against darkness, cold, and age. In Old Norse, day is personified as the son of night. To the Norse, the unit of a full day started at sunset, met the halfway point at sunrise, and ended at the following sunset. This was the case for many ancient cultures, and in fact you can still see it reflected today in several holidays as well as pagan Sabbaths, in which it begins at sundown and ends the following day at sundown. I actually talk about this a bit in my video about celebrating Samhain, that for many ancient peoples, there was a belief that dark came prior to light. And that's why many who celebrate Samhain, myself included, not only celebrate it as the cross-quarter day between the autumnal equinox and the winter solstice, but also as the witch's new year. Days start getting shorter and nights start getting longer. Several ancient cultures broke the year into two halves, beginning with the dark half and ending with the light half. And it actually makes a lot of sense when you think about it. Before we are born, we are in the dark womb. Before a seed sprouts, it is in the dark earth. And in fact, in some of the Futharks, Dagaz is the final rune. Dagaz is the light and strength of the sun. And the focus in many poems, as we saw, is on specifically daylight, the light that comes with day, and even more specifically, dawn. Dagaz is tied to awakening, enlightenment, and transformation, as well as inspiration, hope, and happiness. Dagaz is that moment when all things are clear, enlightenment is achieved, and one is perfectly connected and in balance with the universe, as well as the collective unconscious. So continuing to focus on dawn specifically, Dagaz is massive change. Energy, having reached its peak, is transformed into its opposite, although by nature it is still the same. Dagaz is a rune of polarities, so light and dark, there's no point where you can say light ends and darkness begins. They're two poles on the same spectrum. And in fact, you can see these polarities signified in the shape of Dagaz. So most interpretations, not all, of Dagaz in a reading are going to be positive. So I know the runes are often very mysterious, but with Dagaz, you have to keep in mind the original interpretation of Dagaz in the Anglo-Saxon rune poem. It was pretty straightforward about what Dagaz meant. Dagaz meaning day, which brings light, mirth, happiness, a useful resource, as well as enlightenment and revelation. So if it shows up in a reading, good things are probably coming. Dagaz shows you the coming of spring, whether literal or metaphorical, or the light at the end of the tunnel. It points to positive, dramatic change. Remember what I said about the polarities. But as always, you want to interpret it considering all of the runes surrounding it and in context of your question. It could also be pointing to the fact that you need a bit of a sunnier disposition, you need to seize an opportunity, or you really need to put your head down and persevere because good things are coming. In magic, it can be used to begin or end a ritual or ceremony, much like one would open or close a circle. It can also be included in the opening or closing of a circle. It's also useful in trance work, as well as if you are trying to enhance happiness, clarification about something, or bring about a happy conclusion or ending. That's it, everyone. Also, do not forget to head on over to Facebook and like the Bewitching.Bemused page, facebook.com/bewitching.bemused. Of course, I am still on Instagram, and you can always reach me on email. Leave any questions you have about the video, Dagaz, or the runes in general in the comments below. And next week is our final rune video, so we will be finishing it up then. I will see you then.